Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up today,
Yeah.
Dan, I feel like we've been talking a lot about the Mormon Church lately, but there is something happening that we have to just keep addressing this. There seems to be something simmering that's about to start boiling amongst the ranks of your average Mormon. They're starting to protest some of the positions that the church is taking.
I feel like Mormonism, and maybe this is part of the reason why you and I do Mormonism so much. Mm-hmm. I mean, people like it, and it's weird and whatever, but it's also kind of the canary in the religious coal mine a little bit.
Okay.
Like, it's very, very prone to what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
It hits it.
Yeah.
So I feel like as goes Mormonism, so goes the world.
Well, that might be a little bit of overreach.
Maybe, but we'll let you guys decide for yourself.
You're saying it's a bellwether
Later in the show.
religion.
Yeah. It's,
I don't know. They seem to also be behind the times a lot.
well, yeah. Maybe that's why. I mean, religion is inherently behind the times.
That's true. But
That's just how that works.
yeah, no. Sort of the continuing saga of some of these issues in the Mormon Church. Then
Yeah, interesting stuff.
yeah. So you'll want to stick around for that.
Folks is getting uppity.
Indeed,
They getting straight
Bold.
uppity.
bold
Yeah.
in their stance on some of these issues. And obviously, we did talk about Sam Young that last week. We'll address a little bit more of that, but not really focused entirely just on him. So.
No.
All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
There was an incident this last week, I guess. Something got onto Belgian television.
Uh-oh.
That at least one minister in the government is completely inappropriate.
He's raising hell about.
Yeah, he's upset. They, like a lot of countries in this world, have national television. They
Sure.
have
Okay.
A TV station or a few TV stations that are owned and operated by a government entity.
Right. Sure.
And they also, on one of these channels, have a program that is not that uncommon. It's this article, it's a British article. It was from, I can't remember where, but Songs of Praise is what they're comparing it to.
Okay.
Maybe similar to Music in the Spoken Word that the Mormons put out.
Oh, sure.
You know, these programs that they're very religious.
Jesus
There's a lot of
songs.
music. Anyway, they have a program like that.
Sure.
And a Catholic lay reader got onto the program and shared a little Bible verse that calls for women to be submissive to their husbands. Ephesians 5:22 through 33 is what he all read.
Yeah.
And just a little snippet so you can kind of get a sense of it. Women, be submissive to your husband as the husband to the Lord, for the man is the head of the woman, as Christ is the head of the church. He gave his life to save her. In this way, the woman must submit her husband to everything as the church is submissive to Christ. Well, Sven Gatz, he's the minister for media in Flanders. That's the Dutch-speaking region.
Sure. Go, Flanders!
Nice. He called for a ban on all religious services from being shown on public broadcasters. The name of the station is VRT.
Which is
he says
French for green, I think.
Ver. He says, he tweeted a response to this. He says, "No outdated woman-unfriendly statements, please. What if, for example, an imam would have said this?
That's a great fucking point.
It's a great point.
The guy's like spot on with this.
Absolutely.
I was fully expecting him to say something horrible, and then you threw me the curveball of him being the right one.
Let's see.
I love it.
He said, "Of course, I'm not behind these kinds of statements. The fact that they come from an old book is not an argument for letting them go out to our people. This is not of this time, and that it is broadcast on the VRT for the whole of Flanders is already completely crazy."
Wow.
Apparently, he's already called for an abolition of this kind of programming.
Okay.
Last year,
we have an atheist on our hands, ladies and gentlemen.
But apparently, yeah. So he's already spoken out in the past. He's using this as another example of, no, this is nuts. Why is our government paying for this? We should not be in the business of promoting religious speech.
Yeah.
But then when it is out of line with our collective values, then it just further highlights that point.
I want to know what the flowchart looks like. Here's what I want to know.
Oh, yeah?
I want to know in the sort of Christian thing, if you're one of the Christians who takes that verse literally, does that mean, does a Christian woman have to be subject to a non-Christian man? Like, am I still above her in the hierarchy? Or am I like somehow demoted because I'm not Christian?
Nah, it just talks about husbands and wives.
Oh, it's just husbands and wives.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, Dan, like, if you wanted to, like, get your marriage back right,
I just assert my authority.
You need to assert your authority over Andrea.
Submit to me, woman. I'm sorry, baby.
Which just seems like...
I apologize. I did not mean to say that.
It's very out of character.
Yeah, I would never... That's...
It's a bad characterization of your guys' relationship. But... But nonetheless,
not our future relationship.
Maybe you should think about it,
because I'm going to lay down the law.
Because it's what the Bible says.
The Bible says so. For the Bible tells me so.
So yeah, good Lord.
Yeah, it's that's well, hey, at least there's somebody who's thinking somewhat clearly about things in somebody's government. Not in ours.
The discussion that we could be having in this country, since the airwaves by law belong to the people, we could be having a similar discussion.
Oh, you didn't? Not with this current government, we couldn't.
No, I know, but by law, technically,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
those airwaves are ours now. Then there's also the licensing out of certain parts of the spectrum and all that. And I don't know how all this legal stuff works. But let's get this Christian programming off of our airwaves, people.
Oh my God. No, I 100% support Christians to be able to broadcast whatever they want to, if they've got the access or whatever. Anyway.
They have the means.
But not on national media. Oh my God. Can you imagine if the U.S. had national media right now? I mean, Trump just called...
First of all, it would be The Apprentice 24/7.
24/7. There would be an Apprentice channel.
Yeah. White House Apprentice.
Right.
You're fired.
You're fired. And then, but also there would, Trump literally just tweeted something about NBC and was talking, and in his tweet mentioned revoking their license.
Yeah. I mean, he
doesn't ever do anything about it,
right.
But come on, if he actually had any influence over an actual TV station,
right.
Can you imagine what that would look like?
I mean, it might be a little bit of a mischaracterization of how public broadcasting works in other countries, because there are
obviously
usually pretty good firewalls built up.
Yeah.
Depending on the country,
But he'd be working to dismantle those firewalls the moment he stepped into office.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to take us, speaking of Donald Trump and the separation of church and state, or lack thereof, in this country.
Yeah. Okay.
Americans United for Separation of Church and State is an organization here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Obviously a church-state watchdog group. And they have decided to... They've written a letter to the U.S., I guess to the White House attorneys, basically claiming that the president's evangelical advisory board that meets with him all the time and that he's constantly pandering to and whatever, that they basically constitute a group that basically an advisory group, which is then subject to a law in these United States, which basically makes it illegal to have untransparent meetings with advisory groups like this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting.
President Trump has been kowtowing and fucking just licking the boots of people like, young Falwell,
right?
And what's the other guy? Franklin Graham.
Oh, gross.
And those kinds of guys. He rightly sees them as having delivered a whole bunch of his voters to him.
Of course.
And so, of course, he is. But the president of of Americans United, one Rachel Laser, said, quote, "The President Trump has granted leaders of a narrow segment of one religion unprecedented influence on policy decisions that affect all of us. Americans have a right to know that and to have a government that works for everyone, not just for some."
Yeah.
So
nice.
The law in question is from the 70s, and I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's called the Federal... What is it called? Anyway, it's a law that has been in place for a while now, and these guys are trying to make sure that... now, technically, this group is not official. And that makes it a little bit wobbly as to whether or not it actually falls under the jurisdiction of this law, because it's not an official like influence group,
right?
But they clearly have a metric fuck ton of influence.
Right. But if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
yeah, they don't call it a faith council, which would be what would make it official.
Okay.
But they do call it but they meet with the president regularly, and he's not meeting with any other religious groups. He's meeting with evangelical Christians. He's not even meeting with his own purported, like, what is he supposed
Presbyterian or something, right?
Yeah. He's not meeting with them.
Huh.
He's not meeting with Jews for sure. He's not meeting with, the Muslims for sure. Definitely not meeting with atheists.
Right.
But he's regularly hosting these twit balls.
Well, yeah, he's Cyrus. Is that who he is? Anyway,
I don't know. The Americans United has also sent Freedom of Information Act requests to 10 federal agencies seeking information, and we'll see what comes of that. I don't think anything's going to come from any of this, but it's an interesting point. It's a valid point to say, hey, guess what? You're hearing one group of people and one group of people only.
Yeah.
And it's a small sliver. It's not even all of Christianity.
Right.
And you're not listening to anybody else.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's good. Clever.
So there
Good
you
stuff.
go.
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
I did not hear about this. Apparently, just over a week ago, or about a week ago, two American tourists were stabbed in Amsterdam's Central Station.
Oh, God.
They were stabbed by a man who's been identified by Dutch media by the name of Jawed S. He's a 19-year-old Afghan.
Okay.
With residency in Germany. He traveled to Amsterdam to carry out an attack.
Oh.
Because of what he feels are insults to God, the Quran, and the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, the Netherlands like to poke that bear.
Well, especially Geert Wilders.
Yeah.
Wilders, probably. You've heard the name before, Geert, maybe Wilders.
Sure, let's just say
Dutch.
Yes.
There's no way of knowing.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's one of those sort of far right politicians in the Netherlands who's been in the system for a long time.
Sure.
Right? Like, this is not some, newcomer type thing.
Upstart.
No. He's very established.
Sure.
He has been running something of a campaign, I guess you could say, against Islam. He was planning on holding a competition last week featuring cartoons depicting the Prophet Muhammad.
Oh, Jesus.
And
grow up.
And so there's some question as to like whether or not this kid traveled to Amsterdam to wreak a little bit of havoc in response to this competition. Well, the competition got canceled, but he didn't cancel his terrorism.
Well, fair enough. Fair play to him.
Yeah. The two Americans, both 38-year-old men, are still being treated in hospital. The stabber was shot and wounded by police, and he is being treated while in custody.
Here's the thing.
And,
if you're going to do a terrorism, at least target it.
Yeah, no kidding.
What do two American tourists have to do with anything?
Because actually, Dan, though, I will say, terrorism is probably best when it's fairly random.
Yes, but because, at least get yourself some Dutch folk. I'm just saying.
No, because now Americans are going, well, should I really go to Amsterdam?
Oh, okay. Yeah, hurt the tourism.
Right? Like,
okay.
he wasn't thinking on those terms. The randomness is what's important. Right. Is that it doesn't matter if it's tourists. It doesn't matter if it's a mom and her kid. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
As long as it's not an imam and his kid.
Yeah, although that's real random.
That's super random. Take that, imam.
But no, let's see. Gert Wilders. I looked him up.
I feel like that's like 7 different ways you've said his name.
Gert Wilders.
Okay, good.
The first detail that comes up on him is that he's 6'4".
Oh, well.
Or 6'5".
Those Scandinavians.
The Dutch are so tall. It's crazy.
Does the Netherlands count as Scandinavia?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it.
Anyway, was there something here that I... Yeah, he's just on the far right, and
I mean, this couldn't have worked out better for him.
Yeah,
in terms of like confirming his narrative and just believe, like cementing every hateful thing he believes about Islam.
Yeah. No,
this
true.
couldn't have worked better for him.
Yeah,
of course he wanted this to happen. It's why he wanted to do the cartoon thing. He is baiting them.
He's baiting them. Absolutely.
And then they go after it. And then, and some probably wiser heads in the Islamic community are like, let's chill this out. Let's just let him look like the asshole that he is. And then we'll look like, and then
when they go low, we go high.
Right. In Arabic, of course. And then this one kid is just so mad.
Yeah.
Stabby, stabby, stabby.
Yeah.
Happens. It's a tale as old as time. I'm going to move on.
Yes, please.
I am going to talk about... so we reported on this a while ago. In Texas, some cheerleaders got in trouble for bringing out big banners. You know how they lead the football team out with big banners that they break through?
Run through it.
And every now and then some cheerleader's new and doesn't realize that she can't stand in front of that banner or she's going to get trampled. Anyway, I've seen some video that it's horrifying.
Oh, boy.
But no, they would come out with these banners that had Bible verses written on them.
Oh, boy.
So, of course, in this case, the school district, sort of wanting to get ahead of the issue, was like, no, we don't do Bible verses.
Oh.
Well, these ladies sued. The cheerleaders sued to be able to put Bible verses because they thought that it was their own personal speech. The argument, of course, that is the correct argument that the school district made is that while you're wearing our uniform and you're on the field that is controlled by the state, and you're basically a representative of your school. The school is a representative of the state, therefore you can't promote religion in that capacity.
Fair enough.
This is not your speech. This is school speech.
Yeah.
And that's different.
Right.
Well, they sued, and because Texas, they won.
What?
They won their case and won the right to do it.
Oh, God.
But then there's been this whole back and forth, this whole thing, because then the school district was like, we have to appeal this because we don't know, what does it mean? Are we liable to lawsuit?
Right.
If someone sues and their lawsuit is claimed,
right.
Their lawsuit is affirmed.
Right.
They could, the district could be liable for that.
Right.
So they were seeking more clarification, just trying to make sure that they weren't on the hook when this shit happened.
Right.
Well, it's gone back and forth all through the different things, and now the state Supreme Court of Texas has declined to take the case. So, as it stands, the appeals court has ruled that these cheerleaders have the right to have a Bible verse on their banners.
What?
Now that is problematic because guess what? That pits the state court rulings against innumerable federal court rulings.
Yeah.
Which means that now they are wide open for a lawsuit in federal court on church-state separation grounds.
Holy crap.
It's a big mess, but right now the Christians are pissing themselves with glee.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a huge win for them, they think. And it probably is. Here's the other thing. We know that they've been on an insane course to try and stack the federal courts with unqualified but wildly conservative Christian judges.
Yeah.
So who knows? It could be every bit as big a win as they think it is. Because if it does go to a federal court, if they're in Texas, likely they're going to get some sympathetic judge who wants them to be able to do this. So,
well, we will see.
We will see.
Good Lord.
There's bad news in the world, people.
Can't they just let it alone?
Well, I mean, hello. All you need is one good... I think Satanic Temple has to get some people onto some cheerleading squads. I mean, there's your answer right there.
Yeah.
Second Satan shows up on one of those banners, everybody's going to be like, "Bah! Change the rules. Don't allow them."
I hate the whole enterprise.
It's so
football
pathetic.
And cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And all this energy, time, money spent in the school systems to support this crap.
Yeah. Well,
it's just so dumb.
Well, and
why do our schools care?
Yeah. People care.
People care. It's so doesn't belong in the schools.
I just want to know what the hell a cheerleader is. I've never understood it. I don't know what you're doing.
I know what they're doing.
It's like a little not quite dance. I don't need anyone to tell me who to cheer for. I know exactly who to cheer for. I know, I don't get it.
You know, like a little showmanship, Dan. A little razzle dazzle. A little.
Just do its own show then. Make that a show. I'd probably go to that before I'd go to a football game. But I just don't get it. I've never understood.
It gives the girls something to do. The boys are out there playing a sport. They're up there looking pretty. That's the whole.
Oh God.
That's what it's all about, right?
Is it?
Guys are out doing. Girls are looking pretty.
You just made it sound worse than I have even thought of it. So,
but that's why they like it.
Yeah. Good God.
Anyway, Dan, there's another country in this world that is about to join the growing and getting longer everyday list of countries that recognizes same-sex marriage.
Oh.
And it might be coming from an unexpected place.
Huh.
Apparently, Cuba is in the process of rewriting their constitution.
Okay.
This is in the wake of I guess it was the death of Raul Castro, wasn't it?
Raul died?
Well, he's no longer president, so maybe he stepped down.
Maybe I'm not paying attention to Cuba very much. I don't know anything about Cuba. After Fidel was gone, it was just like, I don't know what's going on.
His daughter, Mariela Castro,
has
spearheaded this effort to change the Constitution, to adopt a new one. They're having a huge... they're going through this huge process. There are 8.5 million residents who are all over the age of 16 who are been invited to participate in the process, as well as 1.4 Cubans living abroad who have been who are all going to be able to take part in the discussions being held at universities and workplaces, which will continue to November 15. Now, this isn't happening without some opposition, of course. At least this the whole same-sex marriage thing.
No. They traditionally are not overly fond of the gays.
Right. However, and you're absolutely correct about that. And the Catholic bishop, archbishop, has stepped forward in opposition. Santiago de Cuba, Archbishop Dionisio Garcia, has called on Cubans not to, quote, ignore what nature has given us for fear of regrettable consequences.
Right. What nature has given us. A.K.A. gay folk? Because
I know.
They didn't just appear out of...
the Episcopal Conference called on Cubans to look for, quote, other legal ways to protect homosexual unions. I always love that as like an argument. This is where they always run when they know it's like a losing thing. Well, what about something, separate but not equal?
Right, exactly. We'll give you a reservation of your own where you can go and live and have your own sovereign rules.
Anyway, Garcia said that these ideas are alien to Cuban culture and stem from the cultural imperialism of powerful countries that use the effect of globalization to create a uniform culture that accepts and adopts its criteria while qualifying those of others, essentially just being ideological colonialism imposed by rich countries. And then I looked up the list of countries.
They're trying to take away our bigotry.
Right. Because they're rich.
Because they're rich.
Meh. Here in alphabetical order is a list of countries that currently recognizes same-sex marriage. Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, Colombia, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Iceland, Ireland, Luxembourg, Malta, Mexico, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, South Africa, Spain, Sweden, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Uruguay. So it's not like it's just all the wealthy
that cultural colonialism from
countries.
Uruguay.
Right. If you actually look at it more on a map type thing, it really starts to... This is just Western values now. This is where the West has been moving.
It's those damn Brazilians and their cultural colonialism that they send out to everywhere.
Spreading through North and South America and Western Europe. And there's a couple other spots like, New Zealand and South Africa, but they're part of more the sort of
the European thing or whatever. Yeah.
Anglo tradition or whatever you call it.
We joke, but I mean, it could be just as it could be easy to make the case that like Uruguay and Brazil and some of these other countries are also fellow victims of the colonialization.
Yeah, except for the fact that these, in most places in the world, the United States, it's actually, it's by Supreme Court decision, right? A lot of these places, it actually came up through legislative action.
Right.
Right. It was actually truly the will of the people.
Yeah, if you want to talk about colonial... cultural colonialism. It's not that. It's fucking our TV got out.
Yeah.
American TV got to some of them and they were like, well, Friends is funny. I don't know what your problem is.
Good ideas spread.
Not Friends.
Right?
Friends still had, by today's standards, Friends has a lot of homophobia in it. Strangely.
Probably, yeah. But no, good ideas spread.
Yeah.
Right? And bad ideas spread too. But like...
but progress marches forward.
Sure. But what's interesting is when you do look at these countries on a map and you go, wow, like Asia is completely off the
right.
I mean, just nothing.
No,
right?
Yeah, nobody.
Africa, Asia, and obviously the Middle East. And it's just like, wow, there's still obviously a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I mean, because Taiwan apparently is about to legalize gay marriage.
Oh, cool.
But then you're like, whoa, that just highlights how the progress really has not been made in Asia.
Yeah.
On this particular issue.
I mean, parts of Asia, it makes sense. Like you look at Indonesia or whatever, and if they're heavily,
sure,
you know, Islamic or whatever, that makes sense. But other parts of Asia are so, like Japan.
Why not Japan?
What are you waiting on?
South Korea?
Yeah.
How has it not happened?
Yeah,
in some ways.
I mean, I don't know a lot about Japanese or South Korean culture, but it just seems like they're so modern. They're so hip, and they're not. It's not like, I mean, it's not like Japan has some, you know, Christianity bearing down on it, being like, no,
but
you
they
can't
have
do
their tradition and their.
It's tradition. And it doesn't really make much difference. All right, I'm going to take us finally to, you know, there were a couple of big funerals over the last week.
Oh yeah, there were.
But the important
like
one,
epic funerals.
Epic funerals.
Yeah.
Major funerals.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the important one, Aretha Franklin, because there's a lot that went down.
Culturally very important.
There was a lot that went down at Aretha's funeral.
Yeah. Well,
there was the guy. There was the preacher groping Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
And also making a lovely little racist joke, which
really
was fun.
truly like shocking.
Yeah.
What I loved is that when, like, because people at work were like, you haven't seen this video? And I'm like, no. And so they pull it up and show it to me. But it's all under the guise of the grope.
Yeah.
Right? And then he says this awful thing about her name. And I'm like, how did you not tell me that it was also wildly racist?
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun in all the ways. It's got a little something for everybody.
That was just a nice little...
That was a little morsel for you.
Oh, there you go.
A little amuse-bouche. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about the eulogist.
Oh.
The eulogizer. He who was called forth to do the eulogy. One Reverend Jasper Williams Jr. Who pissed everybody off.
Really?
Oh my God. The entire Franklin family was livid. And, like, literally got one of their representatives, one of them representing the family, had to come out and say, this is not okay. We are not okay with this. That was Vaughn Franklin, nephew to Aretha, who said he spoke for 50 minutes. 50 minutes. First of all, don't speak for... This is just a blanket statement for everyone, and I think it's safe in all cases. Don't speak for 50 minutes at a funeral. Just don't do it.
Yeah, probably not.
Never do that.
No, not a good idea.
That is too long. He spoke for 50 minutes, and at no time did he properly eulogize her.
Oh,
Instead,
boy.
he spent the time talking about his soapbox issues.
Oh, God damn it.
Which were...
That pisses me off.
Oh, my God. But it's so common. This is why you can't have a pastor or a preacher do your funeral.
No.
Because those fuckers will just hijack the whole thing.
They got their own agenda.
For whatever they want to be doing.
Yeah.
It happened to a friend of ours recently. A dear friend of ours passed away tragically.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't. Andrea and I weren't able to go. We were out of town, so we weren't able to go to the funeral.
Right.
But our other friend went to the funeral and was traumatized.
Oh, God.
By how this preacher handled the fucking, like, literally trauma about how he handled the funeral. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
This guy apparently at Aretha's thing got up and started and pissed every. You know you've done something wrong when you inspire Stevie Wonder to clap back at you during the funeral. This guy apparently said that black lives don't matter until black on black violence is solved. This is a black preacher saying this. And he repeated this notion that black lives don't matter. And Stevie Wonder at one point had to yell, "Black Lives Matter."
Holy
like back at him.
Shit.
Yeah. That's some crazy shit right there.
What?
He then said...
What?
He then went on to talk about how there are not fathers in the home no more, and said that a black woman cannot raise a black boy to be a man at the funeral of a woman who raised by herself 4 black boys.
Who I assume turned out to be men.
Who one would presume at least a percentage of them became men at some point in the process. What the fuck?
No, I know. I attended a funeral of a friend's brother who had died out on his Mormon mission. And when a Mormon missionary dies, you get one of the big guys to show up from downtown.
Yeah.
And this was a while. This was in the 90s, before Thomas S. Monson was obviously president of the church, but that's who showed up.
Okay.
And he had not a word to say about this young man.
No, he didn't know that
It was
guy.
all story. It was Thomas S. Monson speaking, so of course it was all stories about Thomas S. Monson. And it was disgusting. And it was one of those things that, like, you know, I was no longer a faithful, believing member of the church and didn't really believe in God at the moment. But that was one of the confirming moments for me.
Yeah.
Of like, no, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting. And for a major figure, major celebrity like Aretha Franklin, for somebody to have the gall to get up there and not actually eulogize her.
Yeah.
When it would have been so easy.
Yeah,
to give a beautiful eulogy, and people would have praised him for his beautiful eulogy.
Absolutely. His congregation would have quadrupled in size or whatever.
Yeah.
This is on TV. This is his fucking moment.
Yeah.
And he just...
Well, but he saw it as his moment he needed to speak truth.
He needed
what he had to say was more important
to
than
get this country right.
Than this woman who had, you know, given us her music.
Yeah. He needed to get this country right. So yeah,
Holy fuck. Well, he also said something else in there, right? That was really offensive.
Those are the big ones that I was reading about. He, for his own part, he said he respects the family's opinion. He says, "I understand it. I regret it, but I'm sorry that they feel that way." He did not, however, apologize.
Great.
He gave one of those.
Well done.
I'm sorry that you're sad.
Yeah.
About this.
But I had to speak my truth. My truth.
My truth.
Speak your truth, minister.
He also, I found the thing he said. He also said, he basically, when he was talking about you can't raise, that a home without a father is no good, he called it abortion after birth.
Oh, God. That one comes in waves.
Yeah,
actually.
that one hits you. That one hits you first,
and then you think about it and it hits you. Wow.
Yeah,
it really hits you again.
Yeah. So a kid with just a mom might as well be a dead fetus. You're a dead child. We might as well just throw you away in the old biohazard bin. You are done.
This guy's a peach.
This guy's he's a cutie. Isn't he just cute?
But that's not the groper. Was that the groper?
No, different guy. Different guy.
That church is just...
There's a lot of...
Those are some good people running that church.
Yep. So there you go. That's That's that.
Yeah.
Listen, folks, if you like anything or everything that you've heard today, you can help support the show if you want to. You can go to thankgodimatheist.com and find the Patreon link and click on that.
Yeah.
And thus become a supporter of the show.
And we sure would appreciate it.
We really would. If you want to write into us, please do so. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click that like button.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we'll let you in.
Yep.
Hey, Dan.
Yes? You got a paper in your hand.
I have a piece of paper. It's a screenshot from one of our local TV stations. They were reporting on the church's response, the LDS church's response to...
I believe you mean the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day
The first time
Saints.
I've mentioned it, you are correct. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints henceforth will be referred to as the Restored Church of Jesus Christ.
Or just the church.
Or
the
just
only
the
church in existence.
Right. Fuck you guys. All right. The LDS Church has been experiencing a little phenomenon that I find fascinating. There have been a number of videos posted online recently of people getting up during what is called Fast and Testimony Meeting. That's the first Sunday of every month. Instead of having talks during the main services,
right?
The main Sunday services.
Instead of boring us to tears with official talks from just members of our ward getting
Right.
up and talking to us,
now
members of our ward get up and talk to us
at random. Whoever wants to,
right?
Whoever feels the spirit.
It's open mic night.
Yeah, and
it's literally an open mic.
It's always been problematic.
You're supposed to bear your testimony.
Yeah. It's the Fast and Testimony Meeting.
Bear your testimony.
You're not eating food, and you're having to endure the worst of the meetings. But yeah, I remember it as a kid. It was always problematic. Ours was Sister Smith would get up.
Oh, yeah. Every ward's got one.
I remember stories about her screen door. Right? Of her home teacher showing up right when she just couldn't handle things anymore, of somebody showing up and like mowing her lawn.
Yeah.
It's great. It was she talked about anything and everything except for the things that the church want her to talk about. And in subsequent years they've like developed little
sort of guidelines
and advice for like, you should talk about, mention Jesus, mention Joseph Smith, mention the Book of Mormon, the gospel, the living prophet.
And by the way, these aren't things that you believe.
Right.
These are things that you know.
Right.
I know the church is true.
Right.
And I know that Joseph Smith was a real prophet.
Right.
And and it always starts with the same phrase. I'd like to bear my testimony.
I know the church is true.
Yeah.
I know that Gordon Monson or whoever
right.
is a true prophet.
Gordon W. Monson. Here's the thing. So yeah, anybody can walk up. You can even be visiting a ward that you're not part of,
and you could go up.
And you can go up, and you can sort of have some mic time and just say. And often people will relay some faith affirming thing that happened to them over the week.
Well, they especially a traveler might tell a story about how their gas tank was almost empty. And they prayed, and they got to the gas station.
The Lord got us.
Oh,
got
good
them
Lord,
there.
it's amazing.
I would be ungrateful if I didn't get up and bear my testimony.
Yeah.
Today.
Anyway, so what some people have been doing is posting videos, having themselves filmed, going up to the podium during open mic and saying something that is not in line with the church. Yeah. So people have been getting up and telling how they've lost their faith, right? They've shared stories about a little document we've talked about on the show, the CES letter. And they'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Invariably, mics get cut.
Yeah.
Bishop stands up. They're asked the person to leave.
They're asked to leave.
Whatever.
And that actually, frankly, I don't know. Like, there's a level at which this is just a dick move to do. Like, you're in their place, you know.
But you're speaking your truth.
And it's about them, and they have been lying to you from that pulpit for a long time. You might as well just tell them the truth one time. But you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen at home, listening on your various devices, wherever you are, in your car,
right?
You need to understand the magnitude of how this would feel when you're at church.
The level of butt clenching.
This is not done, ladies and gentlemen. This is like, I mean, I can't fathom what it must have been like. Yeah, I mean, and I think entire pews were probably destroyed,
sucked up into anuses
as people's butts clenched tighter than they've ever done before. Because Mormons are, if nothing else, are a people of decorum.
Oh, yeah.
They are not a rowdy bunch.
No.
So the most recent one, the thing that sort of brought all this to a head for us, was a woman that we have reported on in the past.
Yeah.
Named McKenna Denson.
Exactly. Yep.
Who we talked about her because she came forward as someone who had been raped by a man in authority at the LDS Missionary Training Center.
Yeah, he was actually the president of the MTC,
which is a place of high authority within the church and a very important guy. And he had apparently been doing this a lot, and she got him on tape admitting that he did a bunch of shit and then not remembering her specifically, which feels like insult and injury, both.
Yeah.
And then but he totally admitted it, and then the church 100% knew about it and had shuffled it under the had hidden it away. This was all under, the jurisdiction of the police force that was in charge of this, since this was on BYU's campus, was BYU, the Brigham Young University's police force.
Yep.
And they, under current rules, don't have to disclose their files to the public, even though they count as actual police.
Well, kind of, sort of. They are claiming that they don't have to.
Right.
There's an ongoing sort of court. In the most recent court decision on the issue, they were told that they are subject to open documents laws, right?
Right.
However, they are appealing that decision. They're just going to keep appealing it. They've been told repeatedly that they are subject to these laws.
They don't want to have to burn the documents if they don't have to. Anyway, McKenna Denson went. Do you want to take the story from here?
Well, I mean, at this point, McKenna Denson. There's this footage.
She's not able to sue him, by the way, because the statute of limitations is long past.
Exactly. So she has this last weekend. She traveled to his home ward, to her rapist's home ward.
She went to a different state. He lives in Arizona. She lives in Colorado, I think.
That's correct. And during fast and testimony meeting, she gets up and she starts off. I don't have the words that she said right in front of me, but she starts talking about accountability, right? I believe, and
within the church. And then she says that she's up there saying this because the sort of her attacker, her rapist, lives amongst them and goes to church amongst them, and she mentions him by name. She said, it is wild. Yeah.
Okay, what do you have?
I just have a quote here.
Yeah,
so
okay,
she says, the first presidency, meaning the highest ups in the church, the first presidency and the quorum of the 12 apostles are covering a sexual predator that lives in your ward.
Yeah.
His name is Joseph Bishop. He was the MTC president in 1984 when he raped me in the basement of the MTC.
Yeah. And, well, boy, howdy, the bishop gets up. I assume the bishop or one of the members of the bishopric.
Yeah.
Gets up, asks her to sit down. She's like, no, I've still got things to say.
Yeah.
And should we play the audio, Dan?
We could play some of it. Let's play a clip.
Here's a clip, guys. What do you want to play?
I don't know.
I say the part where it's her standing up for herself. Because that's where it gets really...
She says, no, I have more to say. In order to keep the church safe, we need to hold sexual predators. She said, and all the stuff about this is assault.
Yeah. I think end at this is assault.
Okay. To be clear, guys, what was happening was that Mormon men don't know that they're not allowed to just grab people because they have authority. Yeah. So the bishop was... not violently, but was grabbing her arm to try and shuffle her to push her off away from the podium.
Right, and it's open mic night. That's just bad form.
Well, yeah. What you need is one of those long canes with the shepherd's crook
and a little boo meter.
Yeah, exactly. Boo! Yeah, exactly.
Boo!
Guy comes on with a push broom to sweep her away. That's what you need. These Mormons are not prepared for these situations, people.
Well, let me tell you right now, they are strategizing downtown about how to be prepared because they've got to figure something out now.
Yeah.
Because this is happening a lot. The church actually, I mentioned that I have a little screen grab.
They have
this is a part of their statement on this.
And really, this statement should be the end of the conversation. They've done a really good job. They really reached out. You can tell it's from the heart.
Oh, absolutely. It says, it is disappointing that anyone would interrupt such a worship service to bring attention to their own personal cause. Recording and posting of these disruptions on social media to seek public attention and media coverage sadly shows an unfortunate lack of respect for others. We respectfully request that those with personal grievances find other means to communicate their messages than disrupting the sanctity of a worship service. First of all, calling that a worship service is the first real problem.
If you've ever been to one. I love the find other means.
Yeah.
Can we suggest smoke signals?
Yeah.
How about semaphore?
It's disgusting. Find other means. Yeah. Could you provide us with a list of acceptable means to raise grievances against a church that refuses to have grievances brought up about it?
That won't acknowledge our existence at all? Can you?
Fuck you.
Yeah.
There is no acceptable means to express your grievances about the LDS Church.
Well, here's the thing.
They will just simply excommunicate you,
right,
as they are in the process of doing, and by the time this is posted, probably will have already done, Sam Young.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. They're just attention whores. They're just trying to get all that attention, trying to get some media coverage.
Oh, yeah. Because everybody couldn't possibly have really been wronged.
No. Well, everybody knows how great your life is when you are a famous victim of rape. It just boy, the endorsement offers come rolling in, and you're living great at that point. Yeah. She's not giving up anything to do this.
Good Lord.
This is I don't know. It's one of those things where she's outraged because the same thing that's happening in all the churches. All the churches cover up their rapists, their molesters, their abusers. They all do it.
Yeah.
They all have it, and they all do it.
Yeah.
Not all of them are as good as the Catholics at it.
Right.
Because not all of them require their clergy to frustrate themselves sexually to the point of insanity.
Yeah.
But they all got it. And all you have to do, it's so funny because it's actually a pretty easy thing to deal with. Mm-hmm. You just the second you hear about it, you hang them out to dry.
Yes.
They're not yours anymore.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
How is this hard?
This is not hard.
Church after church after church fails to understand that the right way to do this.
Yeah.
The way that they must distance themselves.
Oh, that person touched a child? Well, let's get them away from kids until the secular world sorts it out.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
You're taking responsibility for the safety of your members.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so hard.
Yeah.
But as all organizations do, they protect the organization at all costs.
Yeah, and they're more interested in how it would make them look to have an abuser,
Right.
than interested in how it would make them look to properly deal with an abuser.
Right.
So there you go. I guess it's ongoing, but shots fired.
Holy cow. Yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes. Because they had the footage from multiple angles, and that might have been just to make sure that they had one, in case one camera got shut down or whatever. But
they definitely placed people. She went in there and she was ready, and they had people in multiple places in the room, in the chapel. And they actually show one of an angry ward member lady putting her hand over. Covering the device so that it's not recording anymore, but they had multiple angles, so it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
There you go. The natives are restless.
Yeah.
They're not standing for it anymore.
It's really interesting. I mean, they're
disrupting.
Yeah. And it feels so wildly different than the church that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they're nobody would have dared. Right.
No.
Speak out in these ways.
In church? No. You go home, you'd stop going to church, and you start a small rumor in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like a person. Like a respectful person. You go and you deal with your own problems, and you get shunned by the rest of the neighborhood. And that's that. That's the end of it. But no, that's not what's happening anymore. People are getting they're launching.
Good Lord. All right.
Well, you know what would be interesting? I'd love to hear if anybody's seeing similar trends in their former religions. I'd love to hear from you guys.
Especially like the J-dubs.
Yeah, J-dubs are basically Mormons without Christmas. It's the same basic concept. Anyway, you may feel free to write into us. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can call and leave us a voicemail message. 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page again, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And while on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. You can also find us on Reddit, reddit.com/r/TGIAtheist.
Yeah.
And become a member of that growing community.
Hey, we didn't have a lot of time we had to skip a few things, but we definitely want to thank our patrons so much for all of your help.
Thank you guys.
Keeping this show alive, especially two specific patrons.
Two very specific people. We have our our Lord and Savior Emeritus.
Yeah.
Angela.
Yes.
And we have our current Lord and Savior, Jenny!
Oh, I like that. That's pretty good.
All right.
Thanks also go to Mackenzie for all of her hard work on the Facebook page, and to Sarah, Danny, and Amy for their work on the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
And thank all of you for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.